Welcome to Beyond the Red Carpet. Today we have someone who I feel is a friend, and she's an actress and an entrepreneur, a hypnotist, and a mentalist. Plus, she's got some family tree that we will get into later. But welcome, Catherine Hickland.
Thank you so much for having me, Francine.
Oh, this is such a pleasure. I've been wanting to get you for a long time.
Well, you got me, girl.
Good, good. Okay, let's start off. Let's just go chronologically, just because it's easier for me. You started off in soaps, and you were on. When I met you, you were on the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you moved from LA to New York to be One Life to Live, and you were nominated for a couple awards for that. So, how was that? I mean, as far as your career, moving to New York and leaving what I know you came to Hollywood to be an actress from Florida. So explain to me the difference in the shows and how you enjoyed them and what happened with them and your career on soaps.
Well, I did move to Los Angeles in the late 70s to study acting and become an actress. It had been something that was in my mind since I was 5 years old. And the other thing that was in my mind was that I didn't want to be in movies. I didn't want to be on nighttime series. I wanted to be on soap operas. And I knew that from a very early age because the lady that took care of me would put me in front of the TV while she watched her stories. And I remember just being mesmerized by them and thinking that I was sitting in front of them as a teenager and I'd think, but I could do this. I could do this. And I wanted to act all the time. So I didn't want to be an actor that was constantly looking for work. And because I wanted to have somewhat of a normal life. So that was my goal. And as luck would have it, or fate would have it, or whatever you want to call it. Or maybe I just conjured it up for myself because it was in my head for so long that is where I spent my career for the most part. Although I have been on Broadway, I have done nighttime shows, I have done films, but for 39 years, I was on soap operas and I loved it. I wanted to be on a story that never ended. And I would really make sure that the characters I played were at least interesting enough to have some longevity. So it fulfilled my dream, and I loved my career very much. Yeah,
you did. You especially One Life to Live, and like I say, you were nominated for a couple of Soap Opera Digest Award for your role in that. And I'm sure everybody watching or soap fans will definitely recognize you. Well, you were on for a long time.
Yes, that's true. And when I was growing up and I would watch soap operas, I remember I would get very attached to certain characters and certain actors and actresses. You really get emotionally attached to people that are in your living room every single day. I am certain that if 20 or 30 years from now I saw those favorite characters that I loved as a viewer, if I saw them on the street, I would know them by their voice, by any familiar part of their face. It's a special audience that we get with soap operas. Very, very special.
Soaps, yeah, that genre just really pulls in their fans, and they become part of their lives because they're there 5 days a week,
right?
And it makes an appointment to be with their friends 5 days a week,
and they go through all of our dramas together, and it's a very unique. And now nighttime television has adopted the soap opera form. Mm-hmm. So all of these great shows that are out there, like Ozark and they're all in soap opera format, which is continuing drama. And that's why they do so well, because the characters and stories pull a viewer in and you go for the ride until the ride isn't good anymore, really. Yeah.
So I don't remember, how many times were you married on the show? Because soaps are notorious for marrying or killing off or bringing people back. Or do you remember any of that?
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, I'm just on One Life to Live alone. I killed 2 people. I married Let's see. So Sam, Clint, Bo. I didn't quite make it to Bo, but I had a lot of lunch because Nora interrupted the wedding. So I think I was only married actually twice on the show, but I had a lot of boyfriends. Let's put it that way. A lot of love interests. Yeah.
Typical soap.
Mm-hmm.
From there, when your run with One Life to Live came to its end,
Mm-hmm.
you took a big change. You became a hypnotist. Can you talk about that?
I can, because it's really a big part of my world. And I had always been interested in hypnosis, mostly for hypnotherapy, like changing our thinking and our behavior patterns through our thinking. And so I had always been interested, and I taught myself how to hypnotize people. But then when I was on the last 2 years of the show, I started to study the art and science of hypnosis, which is really not that hard, but to become good at anything, it's a lot of work. But then I discovered that maybe I wanted to take it into entertainment, because I have a theater history, certainly a television history. And one of my mentors and professors who taught me said, you'd be crazy not to take this into entertainment. I had been a big fan of Pat Collins, the hypnotist who was in Hollywood when I was a kid. So she was really a huge inspiration for me, because she did stage and she helped people and she taught people mind management, which is really an important thing. I went to school to learn, and then I went to further education to learn how to do it on stage, and because it's a lot. Doing hypnosis on stage as a show, hypnotizing people, making them do outrageous things, and remembering everything and managing 12 to 15 people in a trance, it's very difficult, but I love it, and I have been performing on stage for 11 years. I started out in New York City while I was on One Life to Live. Yeah.
So you combined your love of acting or entertainment with your love of hypnosis, and that's a good combination.
Yeah,
we can all use some. Yeah, we can all use some special guidance in our lives to some fixing up of little things.
Yeah, and as far as the performance aspect of hypnosis, I mean, I don't think you can make an audience laugh any harder than you can when they see their friends and family hypnotized on a stage, and they're like, they'd never do that. She's so shy. He can't dance, and it's like it's so wonderful to do that. I'm sad right now because of the situation that we're in. I don't know if I'll be doing a hypnosis show for quite a while, because it's a very contact, hands-on sport, so to speak, and so all hypnotists are really trying to figure out now for the future how to do this without having so much contact, them with each other. But I think that so I'm grateful for my mentalism skills, because I have
explain that. You were telling me that you're not doing the hypnosis because of the COVID problems that we are experiencing now, but you are now called yourself a mentalist. And what exactly is that, and how does that differ from hypnosis?
Well, hypnosis is a science, I guess, that we would definitely call it. It is science. And mentalism is a whole nother thing, and it's really great. And I started to study mentalism about 2.5 years ago, because I have super high intuition, and it just seemed like a natural progression for me. And I did a really fun show in Los Angeles with another mentalist named John Stetson. We did a hypnosis and mentalism show at the El Portal Theater in Los Angeles in North Hollywood, and it was so fun. We had a packed house, and it was just great. And so 2.5 years ago, I really started to focus on mentalism as a career, because I love it. I have a deep passion for it, and it's basically uses the art of persuasion, the art of influence, the art of reading people and knowing what they might do, going to do, might say, and you put everything together, and so you're basically mind reading, and it's really fun. and people love it, but it's very different from hypnosis, because with hypnosis, people are laughing all the time in the audience. And with mentalism, they're so blown away and it's very awesome and mysterious, but people actually forget to applaud after a routine because they're just like that, it's just shocking.
Well, when you come back to Southern California for another show, let us know. I'd love to catch that.
Yeah,
that sounds fascinating.
We're just about to book that theater again to come do my mentalist show. It's called Mind Amazements, and then this struck, so I was like, oh. And now this is the first summer I've ever been home in 11 years, because I do about 120 shows a year out on tour. So it's been nice to be home too. There's also good involved, in this, what's happening.
Yeah, we're stuck at home. We have to find some good in it.
Yeah.
But also, okay, so acting, and you did a little singing too, hypnosis and mentalist, cosmetics, cat cosmetics. How did you come across cat? That's a big empire now, basically, for cosmetics. And people watching, if they're interested in your cosmetics, can go to catcosmetics.com.
Right.
And how did you get into that?
Well, it's CAT, catcosmetics.com, short for Catherine, because my friends call me Cat. When I was on One Life to Live, I was sitting in my dressing room one day, and I did my own makeup for the show. Every show I've ever done, I've always done my own makeup. This is a 5-minute job today, because I'm crazy, running crazy today. So I was in my dressing room, and I just had makeup everywhere on my table. And I thought, man, I had to go to 10 or 15 counters to get all this. And I like it, but I don't love it. So I consider myself a makeup artist, because I did my own makeup, and sometimes actresses would come into my dressing room and say, can you fix this? And I would help them. I don't have the patience to sit in a makeup chair after sitting in a hair chair. It's just part of my little bit of ADD I have. I can't sit for a long time. I need to do, so I thought, wow, I could make a makeup company. I bet if I could just learn how to find a chemist and send them what I like, but tweak it here and there, make it this color more, or make it less dry, or no gray in this. And I started out with 11 products, and a great chemist from Japan that lived in the United States. Everything I make is made in the United States, because I just feel that that's really urgently important. And so I started out with 11 products. Now I have about 90. We're 19 years old. The company is doing great. And it's just word of mouth. I mean, it's incredible, but it's very, very, very successful, my company, and I love it.
It's interesting. I went to the site, and you have a tutorial video on there too.
Lots of them, yeah.
Yes, lots of them. Yeah, I think people would be very interested in watching that, and watching those, and then hopefully purchasing your products, because they look, everything on there looks fabulous, and I'm about to go make a big purchase myself.
Oh, well, I was 40, I think 43 or so when I started the company. And women over 40 have special needs. So my company is really not for young people, although young people look amazing in it. It's made for women over 40, because what it does to your skin, what it makes you look like, it makes you glow and not sparkly. It's really focused down, and I have kits. So it's just for people who really don't know a whole lot about makeup, because we have a lot of education with it. And I love it, and I love all my customers. It's a big, happy family.
Well, that's our target audience on this show, is people over 40, over 50. So that's what struck me. I think it's something that I believe that the viewers would really, really get something out of by going to your website.
I was 44, because I'm 64 now. So I was 44 when I started it, and it's almost 20 years old. So I always chronologically, when I can't remember how old I am, I think about how old my company is.
Yeah, good way. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to get into something that I think is going to really be interesting to the viewers. you are married to Todd Fisher,
Mm-hmm.
and Todd was the son of Debbie Reynolds and the sister of Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
When that tragedy happened, do you have any, I mean, that's had to have been so gut-wrenching to lose those two so close together. How did you handle that? And what was going on in your lives at the time that got you through it?
Well, you know, we're both Christian, and we have a certain way of looking at the world that is perhaps different from someone that doesn't have that grounding in spirituality, not religion, but your spirituality. We're very much that way. And so I think that helped so much, because in our mind, at least, we know we'll see each other again. And so but the shock of what happened was the hard part to deal with was, and it's so much, because we were just sitting down to have lunch with a friend whose birthday it was. We were 3 hours outside of LA. Bam, the phone call comes in that Carrie has had a heart attack on the plane. She was coming back for Christmas. We were leaving. It was on the 21st. Our wedding anniversary was the 22nd. We got married at Carrie's house. So we were going to go into Los Angeles to get ready for Christmas, because it was only a few days away. And so we got the call. As soon as we got the call, then we didn't know what was going on, really. And she pulled through so many things in her life, so many things that Todd and everybody, I think everybody in the world thought she's going to make it, because she seemed indomitable. She was just forever, you know, Carrie Fisher was just,
right.
You know,
indestructible Princess Leia.
Indestructible, right. And Debbie too, unsinkable Carrie, indestructible. They were just quite a force, you know. So Todd ran to Los Angeles, and I had to wrap everything up, and then I joined him there, and just a few hours later. But she was already in a coma, and he was with her a lot, and people came to see her. Very close friends came to see her. I didn't go, because you don't want to be in someone's that's on life support, you know, have a bunch of people in the room. And I felt there were a lot of people that really wanted to see her, needed to see her, that she was very close to. So I didn't go, because I also had to hold down the fort. And Debbie went, and, you know, and it was so hard to watch Debbie being so strong for that time that Carrie was there. Yeah. And then Christmas came a couple of days later. That was so weird, because we always celebrated Christmas together, and Carrie loved to give presents. And so she would get so excited about you opening your presents in front of her, and seeing how much her thoughtfulness, because she put so much thought into everything. And then we would give her hers, and she was never as excited to get presents as she was to give them. And then here we have Christmas, and she's not there. And Debbie is sad, but she's trying to be okay for the rest of us. And also, you know, we didn't know that she would just go, you know, like a few days later, that was it. She just was gone. And Debbie was gone less than 24 hours later. So it was, in a way, I'm grateful for the 1-2 punch, because it's really hard when you pick yourself up from a tragedy and then have another tragedy knock you down. So in a way, that made it a little easier, because it was grief, and then just way, 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 way more grief than most people should be able to deal with. But people do. Everybody has things happen to them that are hard or really challenging. Right. So, you know, the hardest part after they died was holding Todd up, for sure, making sure he didn't have to deal with anything at all. So his phone, somehow reporters and everybody, you know, they got his cell phone number. And so the phone was just ringing and ringing, and it never stopped ringing. If we didn't turn it off, it would just ring and ring. And he certainly was in no mind to deal with that. So I had to answer all those calls. And it was, and it was interesting, because some people were it was very cutthroat. Everybody wanted the story. Everybody wanted a soundbite or a quote. And you're, oh my God, we can hardly think, So I said to Todd, I'm just going to handle this. I'm going to choose one outlet for you to speak to, because you can't do this. We're also trying to find a place to bury them. We're trying to figure out, there was no really what they wanted, in their will as far as that went. So we had so much on us at that time that I can't imagine now that I look back how we didn't just go under. But it was just being organized, having a plan, keeping people at bay, choosing one outlet, which I chose 2020. And you know why? Because they had a very young producer who was not high up on the chain. She was a new producer there, and she was very junior at the time. I'm hoping she's doing great now, but she was so polite and so truly apologetic and meant it about having to make that call to us during this time, that I like 2020 because I'd worked for ABC forever on One Life to Live and 2 other shows. And I liked that show. And I felt like, and they were actually doing a piece on Carrie and Debbie anyway. So what they really wanted was for Todd to add to it, to kind of fill it in. And I liked that idea. And so, we made a few caveats about things, and just to keep him safe and not to be hurt anymore. He didn't need that. And so we went and did that show, and he did a great job, and Elizabeth Vargas did a great job, and they did a beautiful job on the story. And it was a beautiful episode, and it really did everything. He told his story, because the hardest part is when you go through something like that, when people are that well known and famous, and you're watching the news and everybody has an opinion. Everybody's talking as if they know everything, and they don't know everything. They don't know anything except that what was made public. And so for him to be able to tell the truth, as it happened, as they were. And Bright Lights was the HBO documentary that was just finished and scheduled to air in March. HBO pushed that up to January as a tribute piece, which it wasn't meant to be. It was not meant to be a legacy piece. It was just meant to be about 2 extraordinary women and this family. So everything kind of worked out. And then I think the thing that healed us both the most was knowing that we were going to put on a public memorial, and that it was going to be huge, and that we wanted it to really reflect their lives, their careers, everything in it. And it was an enormous task. It was just us. And it was a 2-hour show. Literally, it was a show, because that's what Debbie would have wanted. And we had the Gay Men's Choir perform, and we had Debbie Reynolds Dance Studio dancers perform, and we had clips and music, and John Williams let us use, his beautiful music that he composed for Star Wars. People were just so great. All of their friends spoke, and it was beautiful. And I think that really healed us both to go through all that, as hard as it was. We kind of got to spend more months with them that way, if that makes sense.
And now both of you are basically the caretakers of their legacies. I
think so.
I think so too, because Todd is doing a lot with the Star Wars and keeping Carrie's memory alive. And of course, Debbie will always be around.
Yeah.
On TCM and all those channels, we always, it's rare that you can't find a Debbie Reynolds movie. So,
that is so true. And he and his mother had an extraordinary relationship. I mean, really, if you got involved with Todd Fisher, you had to understand that you were also getting heavily involved with his mother, because they were so close. They had an extraordinary relationship. And so I had a deep appreciation for that. And I loved her as well. His sister, he loved so much. And I think that was even harder than losing his mom, because that was it for him. His family was wiped out in 1 second. And so he has struggled, with losing his sister at such an early
Thank
age.
goodness he has you, because you are one of his supports. Obviously, you're there to stand behind him and support him through everything.
Yes.
But I think our time is about up. But thank you, Catherine. We'd love to have you come back.
Thank you, Francine.
Especially let us know when you're coming into California, and we can publicize and get some people there.
Thank you. Yeah, we will. It's kind of weird because, live entertainment here in Las Vegas, where we live, is just been postponed again. And honestly, Broadway being postponed till 2021, it'll be a long time, I think, before we have it all figured out where it's safe and everything. So in the meantime, just use this time for personal growth and reinvention of yourself and your thoughts, dreams. It's not all bad news, but if we have to be in it, use it for good, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a surreal situation. We just got to make our way through it and hopefully find something good out of it for us in our own lives, with our families and all that. But I will come visit you one of these days.
Oh, I would love that. Come see me.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. And I appreciate having Catherine Hickland on, and we will see you next time on Beyond the Red Carpet.